Hello, 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 everyone, and I am so happy to have you here. I am so excited. Welcome to Release the Fear of Judgment workshop. We are just gonna dive right in. So, I am so excited to have you here. And so if you're just hopping on with us, make sure that you say hi in the chat and tell us where you're coming to us from and what brought you here. And maybe even if someone referred you to this workshop. So just drop us a comment in the chat and let us know what you're up to. I'm Stephanie Connor. I am a certified life coach. I specialize in mindset transformations. I'm an online course creator, and I am owner of Radiant Life Unlimited. And I'm so excited to be here with you. And I can't wait to share with you my best tips, tools, and strategies around releasing the fear of judgment. So releasing the fear of judgment. So what are we going to cover in this workshop? We're going to go over how fear shows up. We're going to discover what your triggers are, to get real about how to deal with the triggers. We're going to reframe your inner language around the fear and show you how to move from fear to love. Your pen and a notebook, and let's get started. So why do we struggle with the fear of judgment? You know, this is something that everybody feels a little bit challenged around to a certain degree. We all desire to be liked, to fit in, and we feel as if somehow, like, from others will keep us out of the elusive inner circle. There have been, I'm sure, maybe times in your life where you felt that way, maybe in junior high or high school, or maybe in a work environment or other situation. So the reason that we struggle with this fear of judgment, there's that desire to be connected, to be supported, to be linked in, to fit in, to feel like we belong somewhere. So tell me in the comments where your fear of judgment shows up for you the most. Is it your spouse or your partnership? Is it your children? Is it your friends? Is it your work environment, your coworkers? Is it a specific social environment? Is it your extended family? Where is that area where the fear of judgment shows up the most for you? So fear of judgment show up in our lives is more than just the feeling of fear. When it shows up as doubt, tend to the things that I will say is that all of these other feelings are really masking fear. All these other things that I'm going to go through in this slide are really just those things that mask the fear for us. And so how does it show up as doubt? Well, do you your ability to be successful in an area? Do you doubt your worth? Do you doubt your value? Do you doubt whether or not you're a good mother? Do you doubt whether or not you're a good wife or partner? Do you doubt whether or not you have something to offer? So this is all, when you peel back that layer of doubt, you can see that there's a fear of judgment underneath there, the fear of being judged. Offensive behavior, whether it's your offensive behavior or someone else's behavior that you're offended by. When you're offended by someone else's behavior, and you can peel back that layer of offense and recognize that it's okay that they're different from you, then you can recognize that it's the fear of being different or the fear of judgment that really causes you to struggle with that offensive behavior. And negative speech, whether it's your negative speech or the negative speech of others, typically when we speak negatively, it's because we are wearing that mask, that fear that shows up in our lives. Is we want to hide that fear by getting to the punch first, by speaking that negative speech, by stepping out in that role, and really shutting people down or keeping people out so they can't see the real. Another one of those things that really masks fear. Now, here's the thing with anger. It really can just be anger at times. So you have to yourself, is this anger because it's a righteous anger, or is this anger showing up and masking fear? Is there something underneath this anger? And a lot of times we can peel back anger and we can recognize that that anger really is just a mask for the fear of judgment that we all struggle with. Another one is illness. And I know some people are going to have, they're going to disagree with me about this, but just give me a second to show you how fear of judgment shows up as illness in our lives. If you deeply, deeply, deeply desire a situation, to be out of a situation or not be a part of something, or there's a deep desire within you and you do not get truly honest with that deep desire. Say there's an event that you really don't want to go to. And maybe this event is a group of people, maybe it's your spouse's coworkers, and you really don't enjoy their company and you just feel judged and looked down upon every time you go to an event with these people. And so there's that fear of judgment that's making you feel like you don't belong, that you don't want to be there. And then what happens is that you're thinking and feeling and just anticipating how miserable this event is going to be because of this. And then all of a sudden, the day of the event or right before the event, you just don't feel right. You don't feel well. Maybe you wake up with a cold or that stomach, and you just can't go to the event. That's how illness manifests in our bodies and shows up as fear. So really crazy things to us, and it can do some really crazy things to our bodies. And so illness is definitely one of those things that we can attract into our lives with the fear of judgment. Another one is anxiety. And this one I'm sure makes sense to many people, that anxiety is definitely a mask for fear of judgment. Because if you have fear of judgment, fear that other people are going to judge you, anxiety shows up, and it makes sense that you'd be anxious about a fear of judgment. So the thing about anxiety is that it's simply a mask that we're wearing. And when we can recognize that it's anxiety, or we're just simply anxious, we can ask ourselves, why are we anxious? Where's this anxiety coming from? And we can peel that back and we can look at it and we can say, oh, it's a fear of judgment because of this, because I'm afraid somebody's going to judge me because of this. And then we can go, oh, this anxiety is not really anxiety, it's fear. And when it's fear, then we can tackle it with the steps. Fear. Another one is frustration. And frustration is one of those things where frustration masks a lot of feelings. Frustration can be one of those things that you just, it's easier to express ourselves through frustration than it is to express the actual fear. And so I'll give you guys a great example. So not too long ago, if you follow me on social media, you might have seen that back in June, I had an injury and caused me to be pretty much bedridden for a few weeks, almost a full month. And then I've slowly been recovering with treatment and medical care since. And so during that time, I also had to take some steroids, and it caused me to gain, so the inactivity in the steroids caused me to gain 15 pounds. And I'm a pretty active person for the most part, so that was really difficult for me. And so we had some company in town, and we were going to a concert. And I went to the closet to get dressed, and everything that I put on was making me feel worse and worse about myself. I was getting so frustrated that I did not have any nice clothes that fit well. Pretty much everything that fits well are my yoga pants and my sweatpants, right? Because they're all stretchy. But I was just really frustrated because this was not working. It was not working for me. And so what happened was I could recognize that this was frustration based off of the fear of judgment that, oh, Stephanie's gained all this weight. She doesn't look good in her clothes. She doesn't, she's not taking care of herself. She's let herself go. Anything that somebody might say about it. And so when I could pull back that frustration and I could recognize that it was fear of judgment, then I could do something about it. So frustration can show up very quickly and very easily as a fear of judgment. So just know, when you're feeling a feeling, ask yourself, is this actual feeling? Is this anger? Is this whatever? Or is this really fear, underlying fear? And if it is underlying fear, then you can do something about it. So what other ways can fear show up in our lives? Like, what are some of the ways that fear shows up for you? And I just want you to take a moment, maybe pause this video. I know we're on live right now, but for the people who are watching the recording, go ahead and pause this video and write down what other ways you thought of, just me going through this list, that fear shows up for you specifically as an individual. So the next step is becoming aware of the triggers. All fear is triggered by our past experience, and it's not always about your childhood, but sometimes it is. And what I mean by that is that sometimes those triggers are decades old from your childhood, but sometimes it was an experience you had last week that all of a sudden now triggers some fear inside you. It triggers some fear of judgment, some lack of belief in yourself, or maybe even the world around you. So all fear is absolutely triggered by a past experience. Our experiences shape the way that we move in the world and the way that we think about ourselves and the world around us. And so fear is triggered by those experiences. And when we know that, then we can do something about it. So take a moment to think about how your body individually responds to fear. And if you have to, and you're watching the recording, pause the video and then write down all the ways you notice fear shows up in your life. Maybe pause this video, do a quick brain dump, and just pour it out all on paper. And how is it that fear shows up in your life? So now that you've done that, I want you to just take one of those ways, think of one of those ways, and ask yourself what triggers that specific fear for you. That specific, like, is it the frustration? Like my example of the weight gain and the clothes and feeling the frustration of not finding anything that made me feel good to wear, but really was fear of judgment. So think of one of those ways and ask yourself, what triggers that for you? And for me, it was definitely a fear of not looking my best and having other people judge me around that. So is it an environment, maybe a phrase, a person? Just what is the trigger for you specifically, personally? Because everybody's a little unique. So once you're aware of your triggers, you can do something about it, right? Like we talked about, what is the fear for you? What is the trigger for you? What is the mask for you? And now once we have gotten aware of all things. We know what it is for us individually. Now we can put together a plan and do something about it. We do not have to stay in that place, because the first step is becoming aware. Guys, I need you to know that this will look different for everyone. Your experience is going to be different from someone else's. And if you judge yourself or others because you move through these steps differently, because you have a different experience, because fear is so unique to you, or the way that it shows up in your body, or the way that it shows up in your life, or the way that it affects you, and then you judge yourself because of those differences, you will bring your fear of judgment up over and over and over again. It's going to keep coming back, and it's going to get stronger, and it's going to get worse, and you're going to start to feel as if you need to isolate yourself. So when you can step back and appreciate that it shows up for you differently, and you handle things differently, and that it's absolutely okay that someone else handles it completely different from you, then you can actually start to truly let go of the fear of judgment, because you're simply appreciating and acknowledging the differences of someone else. So every time fear shows up, you have two choices, right? You can give in, let the fear take you down the rabbit hole. Like, seriously. Here's the thing. I could have stood in my closet with all that frustration, feeling angry, feeling crappy about myself, let the negative speech go, start picking apart my body, start picking apart my worth, start picking apart how I show up in the world, my gifts, my value. I'm not good enough. And that's the rabbit hole. And listen, I know we've all done it. Every single one of us has let the fear take us down the rabbit hole. But we have another choice, guys. And yes, it is a choice to let the fear take over. The other choice is acknowledge the fear and then work the steps to release the fear. So in my situation, standing in that closet, recognizing that the frustration was actually fear, right? It was truly fear of judgment. That allowed me to quickly work through the steps to release that fear of judgment. And then I was able to take a step back and go, okay, now I can move from fear to love. So what are the steps to releasing fear, right? Because that's what you're all here for, right? Acknowledge what you're feeling is actually fear. Remember at the beginning, we talked about how fear shows up, and it can be masked with doubt or anger or illness or frustration or any of those other things. So really take a step back and say, is this doubt really fear? So if you can acknowledge what you're feeling is actually fear, that's the first step. And then you have to ask yourself, so what triggered that fear, right? So I had to ask myself, okay, this frustration that I'm feeling, this anger and this feeling bad about myself, this is truly a fear of judgment. And so what triggered that fear? What triggered the fear is the weight gain. The fact that I was really proud of how far I've come in my health and fitness journey over the last 4 years. And I myself have valued my own worth on my physical fitness level and my ability to stay fit. And so that's what triggered the fear. The fear was that because I have talked about it so much about my own fitness journey, that people will be like, oh, wow, look at her. She couldn't keep it up. So how could we keep it up? Kind of thing, that judgment. So you have to ask yourself, what triggered the fear? And then you have to ask yourself, is this fear true? Are people going to judge me because I gained some weight back? Well, maybe. Maybe they will. But the people who are going to judge you for those things, the people who would judge me for that, they're really not inside my inner circle. They're not the people that I spend my time with. They're not the people that I want to spend my time with if they're going to judge me based off of that, right? Is this fear true? Sort of. But here's where we reframe your language around the fear. If it's true, most of the time these fears are they're not true. Sometimes they're sort of true, but there's a yes and a no. people will judge in my life is going to is more the acknowledgement. Are we figuring language around the reframe? Anything that discovered yet. Okay, looks like we just got paused for a second. The internet was having an issue, so let's go back. There we go. Screen share. Hi, guys. It is live, so you know all that good stuff happens. So here we are. This is where we left off. So I want you to ask yourself, what are some of the things you say to yourself when fear shows up? When fear shows up, and I'm sure that, you know, going through these examples, you thought of some things in your head that you say to yourself over and over and over again when fear shows up. We all have something. We all have that broken record and fear that we speak to ourselves again and again and again. And maybe it was something that somebody said to you at one point in your life, or you heard someone say to someone else that made you question your own value and worth around it. But I want you to take a moment and just write down some of the things that you say to yourself when the fear shows up. Here's the next step, moving from fear to love, right? And so we've done the acknowledgement, we've gotten aware, we picked up on what our triggers are. We've reframed our language. So reframing is really the quickest way to move from fear to love. But sometimes we don't always believe what we tell ourselves, right? I mean, you could sit there and say, you know, maybe your goal is to be a multimillionaire someday or be a millionaire. And you look at yourself every day and you say, I'm a millionaire, when you're struggling to make ends meet, maybe, or maybe you just don't have the freedom financially that you wish you had. And so you don't always believe what you tell yourself. And we're all that way. But it's up to us to recondition our minds to believe and feel what we are saying to ourselves. So that's what it's going to take for reframing work. So you have to recondition your mind to believe and feel what you're saying. And so you have to choose a reframing language that you can believe. But it's also a two-step process. You have to choose that reframing language that you can believe, but you also, in the process of choosing that reframing language and speaking that language, you need to recondition yourself with tools to believe what you say and to believe and feel what you're saying. And I mean, is that if reframing and just changing your language was so easy, wouldn't you have done that already? You'd have already stepped into that. You've already made those shifts in. So I'm actually going to give you the tools that I teach, and I'm going to give you a snapshot of how I teach those clients to do exactly this. Taking all I've already given you, marrying them with these tools, and then helping you to move through the process of releasing the fear of judgment to moving into a more loving way of living. So, like I said, you need more tools than just saying some different words. So some of the tools that I use, and these are I'm going to give you 4 tools. I want you to know that these are the 4 tools that I teach to my clients. These are the tools that I use in my courses. These are the tools that I use in my lessons. And we use a variation of each of these tools based on everyone's unique individuality. So the first one that I teach is journaling. It sounds so simple. Pick up a notebook and pen and just write. And for some people, that's how it starts. Some people come to me and say, okay, here's the stuff. If you're going to ask me to journal, I'm not a writer. I'm not going to write, so don't ask me to write. And I'll say, do you want to make your life? Then at least give me a week. Give me a week to teach you journaling. Give me a week to help you implement it in your life. And if you really don't see any value from it after 7 straight days of doing what I ask you to do, then you can cut it out. And I have never, not once, had a client that I have worked with that has ever told me that journaling wasn't valuable. And I have been working in the life coaching field in some way or another for 4 years. So I'm telling you that there is huge value in journaling, not just from my own personal experience, but from the hundreds of people that I have helped do exactly this. So this is what I'm going to tell you. If you're not into journaling, if you're not a journaler, if you're not going to, you're not into writing or whatever, this is how it starts. You just did a whole bunch of work already in this workshop. You've done so much work in this workshop. This is the next step. Take what you learned about yourself. Get yourself either a Google Doc. I prefer to do most of my work in journaling in Google Docs. You may like a pen and paper, but get yourself either a Google Doc or a notebook and set a timer for 10 minutes and just write whatever comes up in whatever thoughts come up in your head. You don't have to think of a topic. You don't have to think of something to write. Just write. You could write, I don't know why she is even making me do this. Journaling is so stupid. Journaling is this. Journaling is blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know, and you might have learned something about yourself. I can guarantee you will have learned something about yourself in that journaling process every day for 7 days. And I guarantee you that you will learn more about yourself than you realized you could through the journaling process. I had to take a sip of my tea. It's going to get cold. Okay, so the next tool that I teach and that I use and I share with my clients is emotional freedom technique, or EFT. I call it tapping. If you don't know what this is, and it sounds a little funky to you, there's different meridians in your body that actually hold stored, stuck emotion. And so one of the meridians is right below your collarbone, and that's typically on either side of your sternum. And that's typically where you hold on to fear and anxiety. And so one of the things that I help my clients do, especially when I'm working with someone who has high anxiety, I help them just talk themselves through what they're feeling and move from a negative feeling to a positive feeling, all while tapping on that meridian to release the anxiety and the fear that's stuck in their body. And so when we can move it up and out, we can release it, and then we have clarity to be able to have a new thought around it. So if you would like to look into EFT for yourself, these are the two resources that I will give you. Mercola.com, MERCOLA. That website has great resources for learning more about EFT. They've also got a lot of different tapping videos for different issues. So check them out. Another one is YouTube has tons of stuff, but Mercola is really very specialized for the beginner. So if you're just learning about tapping from me here today, I want you to go ahead and go check out Mercola.com, and then check out YouTube as well. Brad Yates on YouTube, he's really good. So he does a lot of EFT and has lots of videos and he teaches around it. EFT is really, really great for just dealing with anxiety or fear in the moment. In that moment. I actually have a client who uses it for motivation to work out. She uses EFT tapping. She does like a 10-minute sequence to get her motivated to do her workout every day. So you can use EFT for lots of different things. It just releases that stuck emotion. So EFT is a great, quick 5 to 10 minutes. You could be up and out of whatever you're feeling, or at least working through it. The next thing that I teach and that I use is prayer and meditation. So what I mean by this is that this isn't religious. You do not have to use prayer and meditation associated with any religion. But what I will tell you is that there is a beauty in that silence of prayer and meditation. And I will always, when you see me talk about prayer and meditation, it will always be hand in hand, because I believe that they go together. Prayer is your communication, your asking, your speaking, your sharing, and meditation is your listening, your absorbing, your receiving. So for me personally, I associate my creator with God. You may have a higher power that you call universe or spirit or whatever you connect to. Maybe it's your higher inner self that you associate with as your language or your label. The label that I use is God. And so when I speak about higher power, I'll be speaking about God. But this is not about religion. This is about your personal relationship from your soul to your creator of that soul. So use prayer and meditation. It's an opportunity to communicate and listen. Communicate and listen. It's this lovely little cycle. And so you can use, if you just want to get started somewhere, there's a great app called Headspace, and that just helps you learn how to get quiet and sit for 10 minutes. If you like to use different music, there's all kinds of lyric lists that you could create a playlist on Spotify with that is great for meditation and quiet prayer time. You can use a journal as well. Sometimes I write letters in my prayer and meditation time. I write letters to God. Or sometimes I'll even write letters to other people. It's just you connecting with that higher power and helping move from a place of fear to love. Because when you're connected to that higher power in a relationship, there's a love that's able to move through you, and love has come from that creator and that higher power. And so the love is able to flow through you, and then you've received the love as well as give the love. And so when you're in that prayer meditation cycle, you're actively moving fear to love. And then a mirror work. This is a big step. And this, you could do mirror work on your own, but I really encourage people who do mirror work to have somebody that can coach them through the first couple of times, maybe even the first time. The first time that I have clients do mirror work, I do it with them in a session, and I help them work through it. It really, the first couple of times you do mirror work, you want to have enough time to really deal with the emotions, because this is really one of the most powerful tools to use when you're moving from fear to love. And so it's really just standing in front of a mirror and speaking things to yourself, looking yourself in the eye and speaking things to yourself to be able to move from a place of fear to a place of love. And the first couple of times you do mirror work, it's very, very powerful, and it can bring up a lot. And so you're going to want the time to do the work. But after the first couple of times, and you want to continue doing it every day. Typically, when I'm working with a client doing mirror work, I give them a 7-day homework assignment around mirror work. And the first one I do with them in session. And in that session, working through that mirror work, then I help them structure so that they can then continue to do it for themselves every day for the next 7 days. And it gets shorter and shorter and shorter as you move from fear to love. And it's the quickest, most powerful way to have a deep transformation. And it's really, really deep. These journaling, EFT, prayer, meditation, and mirror work really go deeper than just the reframing. And so I will always use these tools in conjunction with the reframing language that I help clients choose for themselves, because you have to choose reframing language that you believe in. So these are the tools. Here are all your steps to move from fear to love, to release that fear of judgment. It's really important that you take some time after this workshop to sit with these feelings and these thoughts. You've done a lot of work, and some of you may have even already shifted some fear during this workshop. So if you have, please share it with us so that we can support you, that we can high five you for the hard freaking work you just did. But I really would love for you to share it with us, whether it's in the chat, whether it's in the Facebook group. I will be making sure that if you're not in our Facebook group, you have the resources to get in the Facebook group to get the support. So if you haven't worked the steps, if you have shifted some fear, but you haven't actually worked the steps, now's the time to go work the steps. Go work the steps. Go work the steps. Do the work. Because if you really want to transform your mindset, moving from the fear of judgment to a more loving way of moving in this world, then you have to do the work. The work will not do the work for you. You really do have to work the actual steps. So, like I said, be sure to share your work with us in our Facebook support group so that we can cheer you on along your journey, so we can support you, so that we can be there for you, and in turn receive your support as well. Because in our sisterhood community, it's a very, very important that we treat one another the way we want to be treated. So if you want to go deeper with this work, I know that you did a ton of work today, and you really, really probably already shifted some stuff. A lot of people just being a part of the steps like this, just listening to the steps and just acknowledging the steps, really do a ton of work maybe they've never done before. But if you want to go deeper with this work, I'm going to tell you what your next step is. And then I also want you to stay tuned to the end for the bonuses that I have for you. I know that I said I would have one, but I actually have a few. So if you're ready to take the next step, then the Radiant You Sisterhood online course is your next step. And really what we did today is just the foundational work of the Radiant You Sisterhood course. And so in that course, it's a 6-week intensive where we will dive deep. Blah. I think I need another drink of my tea. We're going to dive deep into each one of the 6 stages to help you discover your own unique radiance. And what I mean by that is that we are going to, these 6 stages are like layers of an onion. And at the very core of that onion is your soul. And on top of your soul are all these different layers that we have to peel back and do the work around to be able to get down to the deep root of your uniqueness and your individuality so that you can shine your gifts out into the world. We do this using a weekly video, workbooks that correspond. We have a private Facebook group as well that's separate from the free group. This group is very private and unique to the people who are currently in this course. Val says, I've been through many a self-help and personal development course, and this is by far my favorite group. Great support with real people who have real issues who tell it like it is and lift you up. Finally, I have found a group of women who are on the same path. It has taken a long time to find the support, love, and encouragement from a group of people who are so like-minded. No judgment from anyone and no unrealistic goals. Self-paced, self-love, and self-care is what it's all about. So the Radiant You Sisterhood course is a 6-module course, and we go through these 6 key areas. In module 1, we really get clear about the physical. This isn't just about working out and eating right, although we do touch on those things during this module, but this really is about owning your own unique physical radiance and what that means for you personally. What makes you feel radiant physically? What makes you feel like you're glowing when you walk out into the world? And this is where we get really, really clear on what kind of physical lifestyle you deeply desire to have. And then once we peel back the layer of the physical, the outer layer, then we can kind of look into that emotional layer in module 2. And we really get clear about how your emotional radiance and wherever you're stuck emotionally affects your emotional radiance. And we can peel back those layers and we can get really, really clear on how our emotions really do affect the physical layer and then the lower layers to come, and deal with the physical layer first. And we're clear about what we want in our physical lifestyle. Then we can look at that emotional layer and we can decide what kind of emotional lifestyle that we want. And then in week 3, we go into spiritual radiance. And here in spiritual radiance, like I said earlier, this isn't about religion. It doesn't matter what religion you associate with or if you even associate with a religion at all. This is about your own spirituality and your soul. This is about your connection with your soul. This is mind, body, and spirit. So the physical is the body, the emotional is the mind, the spiritual is the spirit, the soul inside of you. And we get deep into your spiritual soul and your spirituality. And once we peel back these layers, then we can talk about your uniqueness as a woman and your sexuality. Now, in module 4, we don't talk about sex per se. It's not just about sex. It's about your sexuality and owning the unique womanhood that you have. And every woman, unique womanly radiance. And what does that mean? And what does that look like? And what do you want yours to look like? And it's going to be very different from another woman's. And it's time that we stopped making or allowing this topic to be a taboo topic. So it's really, really important to really know who you are at the core of who you are and to speak about this and to do the work around this so that you can be as gifted and radiant to the depths of your soul as you really are, and that can shine out to the rest of the world. We get really clear about the breakdowns and the breakthroughs, how to deal with having a breakdown and how to move to the breakthroughs. We help you create a system, a step-by-step system that's wonderful and unique to you, that makes you feel good about where you're at And I'm not talking about psychotic breaks here. I'm talking about those little mini breakdowns. You know what I'm talking about, mamas. It's that I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a homeschool mom, I am a wife, I have a house, I have a family, I have friends, I have all these things that I'm trying to hold up in the air and still take care of myself. And it's those little things that break us down that we don't always deal with. And those little things that we don't always deal with lead to the bigger breakdowns where we just lose our shit. And then we move to we move to dealing with the breakdowns, or the breakthroughs, excuse me. We have the clear and the clarity around moving from the breakdown to the breakthrough and helping you create for you. And in module 6, then we get into the sisterhood. This is where it's at. You can't have a course with the word sisterhood in it and not have it in your course, right? So here's the thing that you need to know. The reason I designed this course this way is because all first 5 weeks are about you. And then we talk about sisterhood. Then we talk about friendship. Then we talk about what it means to go out into the world. And so many of us have struggled with finding that sisterhood community, finding those sister friends, those deep, close friends that can be very, very different from us and still have no judgment around the differences and the uniqueness. And the reason we struggle with this is because we haven't gotten clear on who we really are, and we haven't stood in that radiance and to shine that out into the world and been comfortable in that. We second guess ourselves, we doubt ourselves. There's that fear of judgment for being our own unique selves. And so when we show up with a fear of judgment leading, we tend to attract people who have those same battles and struggles. And then nobody breaks down the wall. And then we have a struggle with true friendship and true sisterhood community because we haven't owned who we are yet. So it takes all of this work to own who you are, to be able to have that sisterhood community, that sister friend that you deeply desire. And so in week 6, we talk about that. We work through, especially in the workbook, week 6 is a lot of journaling because we work through what kind of friend do you deeply desire to have in your life, and what kind of friend do you deeply desire to be. And we even get into how some of the things that you may have thought made you a good friend might be the exact things that kept you from having the friendships you deeply desired. They caused negative friendships. And so we get clear on that. We get aware of those areas, and we learn how to build the sisterhood community that you uniquely, deeply desire to have. Cinda says, loved the course and private coaching with Stephanie. Really helped me to introspect and grow. Realize where I needed some boundaries and how to put them in place. Self-love and self-care. Letting go of perfectionism. Just a snapshot of the great content in a safe place to learn and grow while making some new sister friends who are looking for quality friendships with others who are wanting to be their best too. Stephanie helps build you up and show you where a little up leveling could benefit you and how to get there. So there's 2 packages for Radiant You Sisterhood. There's the base package and the VIP package. And in the base package, you get 6 module videos, 6 module workbooks, 6 90-minute weekly group coaching calls. You have also a private Facebook support group where this is where we're going to share, this is where we're going to help each other, this is where we're going to support one another as we're moving through the work. The other thing is that you also get lifetime access. So anytime the videos are updated, the workbooks are updated, anytime we add something to the course, anytime anything to this course, you will get the upgraded access. So you will have lifetime access to this course. So there's a one-time payment of $997, or there's the 8 monthly payments of $137. And so, you know, I love a good payment plan because I want to make sure that this is accessible to every single woman who wants it. So we also, because of that, we also accept PayPal credit, because I want to make sure that everyone who wants this course can get access to it. So Radiant You Sisterhood VIP package, what do you get? You get 6 module videos, 6 module workbooks, 6 90-minute weekly group coaching calls. So we get on a Zoom chat, we get on a video chat there, and we spend an hour and a half just working through whatever anybody had come up for the week, or we just kind of, this is where I do live coaching with you guys. Then you have the private Facebook support group. You get 2 private deep dive 60-minute coaching sessions, plus you get the bonus of my time management mini course, which is valued at $297. And you get that for a one-time payment of $1,497, or there's the payment plan of 8 monthly payments of $197. And like I said, you know, we also accept credit cards too. So I just really want to make sure that you guys know that there's lots of options and accessibility if this is something that you feel called and that you want in your life. Lori says, amazing course. One-on-one coaching with Stephanie was so helpful. She has helped me shift my mindset from negative to more positive and to believe in myself. If you're ready to go deeper with the work that we started today, I am going to post the link to in the comments for you guys to sign up. You also need to know that enrollment closes August 31st at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. So that's my local time. So just know that that is the closing date for enrollment. Now, here's the first bonus. If you stayed live, if you stayed to the end and you are on this workshop live, I am offering a 20% discount for the one-time payment options only to anyone who signs up. And I originally wrote in the next 2 hours, but I'm actually offering this for the rest of the day today. So that means the base package would be $797.60, and the VIP package you could get for $1,197.60. And you're going to need to use the coupon code WORKSHOP, all caps. So if you to jump on this opportunity, I'm offering it for the remainder of today at this 20% discount for the one-time payment options only. Your second bonus, the time management mini course. It's a 3-part course, and this course is really incredible because we work through what's holding you back in the way that you're managing your time now, how do you want to change it, and how to deal with the distractions that will come up once you change it, because we all know distractions happen. So how are we going to deal with it? This is not a one-size-fits-all mini course. This mini course is you pulling out the things that you like about your life and you removing the things that you don't, and then we put the things together in a way that is unique and perfect for your lifestyle. This is not just my schedule that I share with you. And what you get 3 videos, 3 workbooks, you get the Facebook support group. Normally, like I said, it's $297. So live special only for the remainder of the day today, you can get it for $97. So if you don't want to do the Radiant You Sisterhood, or maybe you've already done Radiant You Sisterhood and you just want to get your hands on that time management mini course, or you're not quite ready for the VIP package where you can get all of it, go grab yourself the time management mini course and just really sit in that space. And, you know, we're gonna have so much fun just helping you create the schedule of your dreams. So those are my 2 bonuses. I want you guys to also know that I always have tons of free resources to offer. Like this workshop, just to really help you guys if you're moving into a place where you can live life the way that you want to. Facebook support group, Uplevel Your Life, Radiant Beauty. I also have a free Radiant You Sisterhood mini workbook, which is day one of every single one of our modules, so you can get a peek into what the course is like. You can grab both of those at our website, radiantlifeunlimited.com. You can use this this actual address, or you just go to radiantlifeunlimited.com. I am tripping over my tongue today. And click on Join Radiant You Sisterhood Community in the menu at the top of the page. And so those are the free resources that we currently have available to you, including this workshop will be going up resource as well. So if anybody has any questions, I would love for you to drop them in the chat. And I'm just going to peek here real quick to see if we have any questions in the chat. I'm kind of flipping through different okay. So it looks like I've answered, pretty much all the questions already. So if you do have questions, guys, make sure that you post them in the Facebook group, post them to the Facebook event. If you're in there, post them below this video, send me a message, or you can feel free to message on Facebook, or feel free to email me at stephanieconnor@radiantlifeunlimited.com. And I will be happy to answer any questions that you have about the course. I just want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for taking this hour to get on with me, to watch the recording, however you're accessing this content and this workshop. I am honored that you would take time out of your busy schedule to spend it with me. I'm also so proud of you for taking the time to do this workshop and really take charge of your own mental wellness. So I'm incredibly honored. I'm so grateful that you were here with me today. I simply cannot wait to hear how this workshop has helped each and every one of you to make drastic shifts in your life. And I can't wait to hear what comes of this for each and every one of you. I am so excited for you as you move through and release the fear out of your life. Have a great day, everyone.